Hello YouTube, this is a tobacco review on Molto Dolce, a Sutliff product. There you go. The can boasts of a rich and creamy texture of vanilla, caramel, and honey. From what I can gather, the Molto Dolce is Italian and translates roughly to more cake. This is also one of Sutliff's top selling aromatics, and I can see why. When you open up the can, you are met with an overwhelming and very powerful soury, fruit soury odor. Once that passes, the next odors that you get out of the tin, out of the can itself, is this chocolatey, caramelly. There's a dash of honey you can smell in it, and very faint in the background you can smell the vanilla. But the caramel is very dominant. The tobacco itself is clearly a black Cavendish with almost a 50% blend of Virginia thrown into it on a ribbon cut. You can see it, but there you go. Now, I've seen the other reviews of this particular product online, and they state that the tobacco is overly moist. I protest this. I say that is verging on the dry side. The reason why I say this is that the moist aromatics I've had in the past clump together. This does not clump very well at all. What you have in this is an oily based problem. Now, that was the other thing that they complained about. They felt that it was too wet, and thus you had a residual on your fingers, and that it made things a little difficult to pack and whatnot, and the residual on the fingers was problematic. Like I said, I say that it's on the dry side because it doesn't clump together at all, but there is an oil left on your fingers, a oily residue. Keep this in mind when you pack your pipe. If you're an aromatic smoker, you're used to having a napkin or something nearby to get the tobacco residual off your hands. You will definitely need that with this. Though it is a clear oil, it is there. Now, from what I can gather, when they make this product, they take the tobacco, lay it down into some long troughs, and drag it through the troughs to get the casings onto the tobacco. Unlike where they would usually pack it, shred it, and then introduce the casings or the toppings, they do all that roughly in the beginning of the process. That might be part of what is going on here, that it's an oil rather than anything else when you touch it. In packing the bowl, not that big of a deal other than this silly oiling, and it leaves a bit of a residual on your pipe if you don't get it just right. But once it's packed, it packs fairly easily. Also, when you light the pipe, it takes one or two tries, but when you start to go, it really starts to burn. If you let up off of it, then it wants to put itself right out. So keep that in mind too. You have to keep, I wouldn't say a constant draw, but you do have to pay attention to it. Relighting it is not that big of a problem, but it does want to go out if left unattended. This comes up with another issue, and that is there tongue bite? In the beginning half of the bowl, there is no tongue bite at all. The second half of the bowl, you do start getting a little bit of one. Enough to let you know that it can bite you hard, but it's just biting you just enough to kind of warn you off. This creates a problem in that you need to keep a fairly tentativeness to the bowl, but the tobacco wants to sort of try to bite you at the end. You get a little conflicted over too much drawing to keep it lit versus not enough drawing to keep away the tongue bite. Not exactly an uncommon issue among aromatics that I found. The room note is fantastic. There's a reason why this is Sutliff's #1 aromatic tobacco. You get the caramel, you get the honey, you get everything the can boasts. Flows well into the air and not lightly. You do not walk into the room and go, I think, is that a candle? I mean, what is that wonderful smell? No, you know it is a fantastic aromatic pipe tobacco that has been smoked or is being smoked in that room. It is dominant and is not rough, out of place dominant. It is not knock you down dominant. It is accompanying in the air. It is accompanying in the room. I asked those around me what they thought of it. They felt the smell was absolutely fantastic. Now, this comes to my favorite part, and that is, what would I match it with? What would I pair it with? When you smoke this, you get this fantastic, creamy smokiness that comes rolling out, but not a whole lot of flavor. Now, towards the end of the bowl, you start getting this burnt nutty, which isn't bad. This is not enough to put you off, but this rolling, wonderful creaminess that comes out of it. It does leave the tobacco kind of burnt and chunky, not this nice gray, so keep that in mind too. But like I said, what I would match this up with is something that would go well with the scent itself of nice caramel, nice vanilla, something that complements that. I would say use something light as a counter, but this would not require. This is something you want something equally heavy to go with it. Would I use a dark stout? I think it just might be a little bit too much, but a nice honey beer, some of your honey whiskeys, your maple whiskeys, those kind of flavored type of whiskeys and beers would go very well, but not too strong. With your wines, something like a Merlot would be too much, but a Shiraz would go well. Any of the white wines, I don't think it would compete very well with the room note that is being given off by this tobacco. It does not give you that much taste on the first half of the bowl. So keep this also in mind when you're choosing a nice drink to go with it. A dark tea would go well, but a light green tea, something along that line, would get overwhelmed. This requires something with body, but not too much. No Merlots, no Guinnesses, nothing like that, but a honey beer, a cream ale would go well. A nice mid-range, a red tea, or a light black tea also would go well with this. So there you go. It's my review on Molto Dolce Sutliff pipe tobacco. And, as always, keep on smoking.